Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon for all the updates.
Hello everyone, welcome back to channel Teaching Hut. In today's video, I am going to explain you about quadrilaterals and properties of quadrilateral. Now the question arises that what is a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. For example, square, rectangle, rhombus, etc. There are three types of quadrilaterals. These are parallelogram, trapezium and kite. So let's start with the properties of these quadrilaterals. Okay, so let's start with the properties of parallelogram. So the first property of parallelogram is that opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. This means that angle A is equal to angle C and angle D is equal to angle B. The second property of parallelogram says that side AD is parallel to side BC. And side AB is parallel to side DC. The third property of parallelogram says that opposite sides of parallelogram are equal. This means that side AB is equal to side DC and side AD is equal to side BC. The fourth property of parallelogram says that diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. This means that if we take this point as O, then OD would be equal to OB and OA would be equal to OC. So, the next property of parallelogram says that adjacent angles of parallelogram are supplementary. This means that angle A plus angle D is equal to 180 degrees, angle D plus angle C is equal to 180 degrees, angle C plus angle B is equal to 180 degrees, and angle A plus angle B is equal to 180 degrees. So these were the properties of parallelogram. Now let's come to the types of parallelogram. So now let's see what are the types of parallelogram. There are three types of parallelogram. These are rectangle, square and rhombus. So now let's start with their properties. So now let's start with the properties of rectangle. The first property of rectangle is that opposite sides of rectangle are equal. This means that side AB is equal to side DC and side DA is equal to side CB. The next property of rectangle is that all of its interior angles are of 90 degrees. This means that angle A, angle D, angle C and angle B are of 90 degrees. The next property of rectangle is that opposite sides of rectangle are parallel. This means that side AB is parallel to side DC and side AD is parallel to side BC. The next property of rectangle is that its diagonals are equal and bisect each other. This means that these diagonals are equal, and if we take a point O here, then OD would be equal to OB and OA would be equal to OC. So these were the properties of rectangle. Now let's come to the next parallelogram. So now let's start with the properties of next parallelogram, which is square. So ABCD is a square here. So now let's start with its properties. So the first property of square is that all of its interior angles are of 90 degree. This means that angle A, angle D, angle C and angle B are equal to 90 degree. The next property of square is that all of its sides are equal. This means that side AB is equal to side BC is equal to side DC is equal to side DA. The next property of square is that opposite sides of square are parallel. This means that side AB is parallel to side DC and side DA is parallel to side CD. The next property of square is that its diagonals bisect each other at 90 degree. This means that when these diagonals bisect each other, they cut each other at 90 degree. So all of these angles are of 90 degree. So these were the properties of square. Now let's come to the next parallelogram. Okay, so let's start with the last parallelogram, which is rhombus. So ABCD is a rhombus. Now let's start with its properties. So the first property of rhombus is that its sides are of equal length. This means that side AB is equal to side CB is equal to side CD is equal to side DA. The second property of rhombus is that its diagonals are perpendicular bisector. This means that its diagonals cut each other at 90 degree and are of equal length. The next property of rhombus is that its opposite angles are equal. This means that angle A is equal to angle C and angle D is equal to angle B. The next property of rhombus is that opposite sides of rhombus are parallel. This means that side DA is parallel to side CB and side CD is parallel to side BA. So these were the properties of rhombus. Now let's come to the next quadrilateral. So now let's start with the next quadrilateral, which is trapezium. Here ABCD is a trapezium. Now let's talk about its properties. So the first property of trapezium is that only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. In this trapezium, side AB is parallel to side DC and side AD and BC are non-parallel sides. The next property of trapezium is that adjacent angles on the non-parallel side of a trapezium are supplementary. In this case, AD and BC are non-parallel sides. So, angle A and angle D, if we add them, the sum would be 180 degrees. Similarly, if we will add angle B and angle C, the sum would be 180 degree. The last property of trapezium is that if the non-parallel sides of a trapezium are equal, the trapezium is called isosceles trapezium. So these were the properties of trapezium. Now let's come to the next quadrilateral, which is kite. So now let's start with the last quadrilateral. So let's start with the properties of kite. So The first property of kite is that one pair of adjacent sides are equal. In this kite, side DA is equal to side BA and side CD is equal to side CB. The next property of kite is that its diagonals are perpendicular bisectors. This means that these diagonals cut each other at 90 degrees and cut each other also. They cut each other at equal lengths. This means that this and this is equal and this is equal and this is 90 degrees. The last property of kite is that opposite angles are equal where the unequal sides meet. In this kite, the unequal sides are CD and DA. So, and here CB and AB. So, the opposite angles which would be equal would be D and B. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, then hit the like button, share it to all your friends and subscribe to Teaching Heart. Thank you.